Namaste everyone, my name is Lakhan Panchal and here we have paragraph number 8 onwards from the chapter Truly Beautiful Mind from class 9 Beehive. Let's take a recapitulation what we did in the previous video. We discussed birth and parentage of Albert Einstein, his speaking problem, his likes and dislikes, his education and how he met Mileva. So let's take paragraph number 8. Paragraph number 8. In 1900, at the age of 21, it was the year 1900 and Einstein was 21 years old. Was a university graduate. That means he had completed his graduation from the university and unemployed, but he did not get any job to do. So to start off, he started working as a teaching assistant. And what he did, gave private lessons and finally secured a job in 1902. So this was the year when he got a job as a technical expert. So now he was a technical expert in the patent office, which was situated in Bern. Bern is the name of a city. Apart from that, a patent office is a government office that makes decision about giving patents. Further, while he was supposed to be assessing other people's invention, there what he did, he assessed other people's invention. So while he was doing this, while he was assessing other people's invention, he was actually developing his own ideas in secret. Own ideas means he was also working on some projects called relativity. So he was developing his own ideas in secret. In secret means without other people knowing. He is said to have jokingly called his desk drawer at work the Bureau of Theoretical Physics. So he called his desk drawer what? Bureau of Theoretical Physics. One of the famous papers of 1905 was Einstein's special theory of relativity. In the previous paragraph, as we see, he was developing his own ideas in secret. Now the secret is revealed here. 1905 was the year and by now he had started publishing papers. So one of his papers was a special theory of relativity, according to which he said time and distance are not absolute. Indeed, two perfectly accurate clocks will not continue to show the same time if they come together again after a journey, if one of them has been moving very fast relating to the other. So this is what he revealed. From this followed the world's most famous formula which describes the relationship between mass and energy, and this formula, world known formula, is what? E is equal to mc square. So this is what he mentioned in his papers, a special theory of relativity. Paragraph number 10. While Einstein was solving the most difficult problems in his physics, so here he was working as an expert in assessing other people's invention. He was even doing his own researches and developing his ideas, right? What about his private life? It was unraveling. Unraveling means breaking, falling. How? What Albert wanted actually. Albert had wanted to marry Mileva right after finishing his studies. That means after 1900. But his mother was against it. Let's see why was she against. So she thought Mileva, who was 3 years older than her son, this was the first reason, that she was 3 years older than her son, was too old for him, and the second is she was also bothered by Mileva's intelligence. Okay, what she said, she is a book like you, his mother said. Bother means make someone feel worried. So she was worried that she was more intelligent than her son. What Einstein did at the end? Einstein put the wedding off. Put the wedding off means he delayed his wedding. Paragraph number 11. The pair means Mileva and Einstein finally married in January 1903 and had 2 sons. But a few years later, the marriage faltered. What does it mean? Lose confidence. Reason. See, Mileva meanwhile was losing her intellectual ambition. See, Mileva also had some ambition. She also wanted to become something. But now as she was married, two sons, so she was losing her intellectual ambition and becoming an unhappy housewife. Just see somebody who is extremely intelligent and doesn't allow to work outside, and you are in the house since morning to evening. Of course, unhappy housewife. So after years of constant fighting, and because of that the couple fought most of time. So after years of constant fighting, constant is what happens all the time. Okay, so constant fighting, the couple again refers to here Mileva and the Einstein, Albert Einstein, finally divorced in 1919. Divorce is what? Legal separation. So the couple legally separated from each other. Now Einstein married his cousin Elsa the same year. So in the year 1999, Einstein married his cousin whose name was Elsa in the same year, means in the year 1999. Paragraph number 12, Einstein's new personal chapter. New personal chapter, as he married with Elsa, coincided. Coincided means to happen at the same time with his rise to world fame. This was the time, year 1919 was the time when Einstein was earning name and fame. Right, and this year is very important year in his life. I will tell you why. In the year 1915, just 4 years before when he got married, he had published his general theory of relativity, which provided a new interpretation of gravity. What people thought about gravity before 1915 and what Einstein wrote about it. So that was a new interpretation of gravity. Interpretation means an opinion of what something means. Now the year 1919, an eclipse of the sun brought proof that it was accurate. So what Einstein said in the year 1915 through his theory was accurate when an eclipse took place in the year 1919. What happened? Einstein had correctly calculated in advance. Of course in advance, because 1915 was the year and this eclipse took place in the year 1919. Calculated in advance what? The extent to which the light from fixed stars would be deflected. Deflected means changed direction through the sun's gravitational field. So this was calculated in advance, well in advance by Einstein in his theory. The newspapers proclaimed his work as a scientific revolution. Proclaim is what? Proclaim means to announce something publicly or officially. So newspaper proclaimed his work. His work means this general theory of relativity. A scientific revolution. He brought revolution here through his theory. Paragraph number 13 and 14. Einstein received the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921. He was showered with honors and invitations from all over the world and lauded by the press. Lauded by the press means praised by the press, appreciated by the press. Of course, because what he did from 1915 to 1919, that definitely required something great, and Nobel Prize, nothing greater than this. When the Nazis came to power in Germany in 1933, you must be knowing about this because you must have studied this in your history. It was the year 1933 when Nazis came to power in Germany. Einstein emigrated. Emigrated means to leave a country permanently. So he emigrated to the United States. What he did, he left Germany and went to United States. 5 years later, the discovery of nuclear fission in Berlin had American physicists in an uproar. Uproar means loud complaints. American physicists. And these American physicists, many of them had fled. Fled means ran away from fascism, just as Einstein had. So what Einstein did? He sensed what would happen in future in 1933. And just after Nazis came to power, he left Germany. But what about this American physicist? They were there And finally, after 5 years, they had to leave. They had to flee from fascism. Paragraph number 15. At the urging of a colleague. Urging is what? Request. So one of his colleagues requested him to write a letter to the American president, whose name was Franklin D. Roosevelt, on 2nd August 1939, in which he wrote in his letter, "A single bomb of this type exploded in a port might very well destroy the whole port together with some of the surrounding territory." He anticipated that what would happen if we use this nuclear weapon. But what happened? His words did not fail to have an effect. That means what he said, this happened, and the Americans developed the atomic bomb in a secret project. So secretly Americans developed an atomic bomb and dropped it on the Japanese city of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. Just see, 1939 he warned the government, and after 6 years the bomb was secretly made and dropped on the cities in August 1945. Paragraph number 16. Einstein was deeply shaken by the extent of the destruction. Shaken means shocked. He was deeply shocked by the extent. Extent is area or length of the destruction. Everybody knows what kind of destruction the bomb caused in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This time he wrote a public missive. Public missive is what? Public missive means an official form or a long letter to the United Nations. And in it he proposed the formation of a world government. We can say Einstein was a visionary actually, because he felt a strong demand of a world government. Unlike the letter to Roosevelt, this one made no impact. But this letter made no impact, but over the next decade, Einstein got more involved in politics. So finally he stepped into politics, agitating. Agitating is what? Arguing forcefully. For what? For an end to the arms buildup. He argued to end the arms buildup and using his popularity to campaign for peace and democracy, because he was quite popular. He had received Nobel Prize. Many theories were there in his name. So he used his popularity not to earn money but for peace and democracy. Paragraph number 17. When Einstein died in the year 1955, it was the year 1955, when Einstein was 76 years old, he passed away. He was celebrated as a visionary, and on his death, he was celebrated as a visionary. Visionary means a person who has the ability to imagine how a society, industry, or country will develop in the future. So he was a visionary and world citizen because he did not belong to a country. He thought about the whole world, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, as much as a scientific genius. No need to say he was a scientific genius. So he was celebrated as a visionary, as world citizen, and a scientific genius. So we have done the chapter. Here we have a picture presentation where you can see Einstein since his birth to his death.